Hello and welcome to another edition of Super League On Report then, as we talk this time about Rugby League in the South and in London in particular. Delighted to say that a full esteemed panel of guests with us. We've got Tony Roy, the head coach of London Broncos. We've got Joe Mbu, the head coach of London Skolars and former London Academy product as well. And also Nigel Wiskar of the Sunday People to join us for the discussion. So first of all, we've come out in the sunshine here at the HAC, and Tony, you're in a duffel coat and scarf. Is this not good enough Aussie weather for you?
This is what Aussies do in this weather, mate.
This isn't warm enough yet.
This is not summer, this is not cricket.
Well, let's talk about 2014 then as a year. For all of you, how important will 2014 be for the future of the sport in London? We've seen Broncos, Tony, with going through tough times in the last few months. Is this year going to be crucial for what happens in the future for them?
Yeah, we've had our challenges, obviously. It was if there was we've had our dark moments, I guess, over the whole period of being in London. I thought at the back end of last year, the post-season was as bad as it got. I think we're on death row, no question about that. But the great thing is we've got out of it, and that's enormous for us. So 2014 becomes as important as all the other years. However, what we have is got some challenges in front of us. So what we need to be is in control and not be scrambling and random and losing our way through 14. We're just making sure that we're building it off strong base, and that way we'll have a good future. That's why we'll have a good 14. We'll have a good opening period if we just do it all well together. Yeah, you got to accept what it was. You can't just pretend it didn't happen. This was just a normal season, and let's get on with this here. And that's as not only as a team and a club, but London Rugby League. If we've had a tough time, everyone got drip-fed a bit of a tough period through all of it. Through the amateur clubs, through the leagues, all the way up to us. So 2014 is about binding and actually believing in what happened. We saw how bad it could have been, and let's stick together and come out the other side of it. The other relevant questions for everybody, I suppose, and you mentioned 14, is because there's a couple more relegation places come out of the equation, and everyone's talking about us in that line. So we have to manage that and make sure that that's not a focus for us.
Joe, Tony talks about the restructure. For you as a Championship 1 club, is this a crucial year for you, potentially trying to put yourself in a further division?
For us, every year is a chance to develop and to finish higher up than what we did the season before, and try and build some good culture and build some structure through our juniors and bring them through. So we're no rush to go up a division, but we're certainly keen to challenge and do the best we can every year.
And Nigel, you've covered the sport for a while. You know a lot about what happens in London and the South on a wider spectrum as well. How crucial do you think this year is going to be in what happens in the future in this area?
I think we ask this question every year almost about London. That's one of the things that living down here and being involved in the sport down here at every level, every year seems to be what next for this sport, and this is no different year. I mean, if Tony can keep London up, it'll be a miracle, given the tough start that he's had to take, and all eyes are going to be on that, so yeah, it's crucial, but I wouldn't say it's any more crucial than any other year. We just seem to come to this every year. There seems to be certain instabilities in the game through one thing or another, whether it's financial or players leaving and what have you. And after a while, you just get used to it, and you sort of put a brave face on it and get on with things. I think really.
Can I just pick you up on that when we say every year? It's only every year. Probably the last 6 or 7 where we've really been, bottom end of the league. You must remember when we emerged out and put ourselves into Super League as the Broncos, and we were a powerhouse. We were market leaders, absolutely market leaders, and driving it, and and everyone had a lot of respect, faith, confidence in London. So, one thing I think out of what we've done, if you keep at your vision and you keep pushing away and stick together, life's cyclical, you earn that respect back up. It can go back to that. I think that's what, when we talk about London, is a good London's fight. We need to have a good London. We haven't been good for a little period of time, so what we have to do, and our focus now, is what makes it good.
I was going to say, to flip that around on its head, how crucial is London to the game and success in London? You talk about Tony getting back to those days and being back to being successful. Surely that's going to be good for the sport.
Yeah, London understands that. I do question sometimes whether the sport recognises that from within, and just because it isn't, typically a heartland game, a northern game, and and the crowds and those things that people talk about. put some question on it. It goes back to how we've performed. I think the sport has to realise that London is different, and it's not so much money or anything like that, but just value it and support it where you can, and recognise the difficulties we do have. I use Catalan as a similar example to us. We're outside of the heartland, and if you walk into Catalan in the last couple of years with their own stadium and their own posters and their own flavour and their own presence, you're really proud of rugby league, and it's now it's a great Super League. Now, if you walk into the Hive and it's humming and it's full of London Broncos staff, and we're kicking it around and going great and all that, I know the answer to that will be totally different. So I do understand our challenges are to deliver that. The game must also need to value that.
Nigel, as well, I've had many conversations with journalists over the years about sort of what the key is to success at Super League level in London, but it does seem like a successful side is really one big part of the jigsaw that's been missing, and really once that arrives, then everything else should slot in behind it, because the infrastructure is there at the moment.
Yeah, I mean there are certainly enough kids playing the game in the regions, all the way through from all the junior levels. There is that base. It's translating that into the flagship Super League side, of course. In terms of a successful London club, what impact that would have on the media, again, if I'm brutally honest, I'm not sure. I think football, sadly, is the great god to every newspaper editor, sports editor, and that drives sales. And whether London would have any impact on that, much as my heart says I'd love it to, because it's my job and it's something I'm involved in, my head says that football just has eaten everything else basically these days and taken control. So it's a tough one. It's a tough market to get into, and it's even tougher for London because the club isn't surrounded by. I think, as an example, I'd say was if newspaper offices were based in Leeds, say, or Manchester, those water cooler moments would be about Sam Burgess scoring that try against New Zealand. You don't get that down here, sadly. You don't get that down here, but hey, maybe one day we'll shift all the press back up north and see what happens.
What about the prospect for future Joe Mbus as well, Joe? You started your career as a player at London Skolars. You went on to play Super League with London Broncos. You're now back coaching the London Skolars. For bringing people through, is a successful Super League side crucial? Is it different now to when you came through? Is there now the structures there that if there wasn't a successful side, there's still going to be people brought through like you?
No, definitely. I was just going to jump at the back of what Tony said, and he spoke about seeing and focusing on the good things that come out having a London club, and one of the things that I think is key is to focus on what the club has contributed in its time, be it Skolars or even Hemel or Oxford even now, the infantry level, and the players that have come through, and you just mentioned myself, and you've almost spoke about my career until now, and it's been a great introduction. But I've also been a product of being a Skolars players, then being a Broncos players, and now coaching at the level I'm coaching because of the opportunity that I had. But you also look at other players and other people that came out because of the London Broncos, with Michael Warrency, Louis McCarthy, and you're looking at Tony Clubb and Dan Sargison. So there's many more, and I think without the Broncos, you almost miss out on those players, and they're players that are currently still playing. They still have a lot to offer. A lot is yet to be seen for what Louis can deliver, and he's a great talent, and same with Tony Clubb and Dan Sargison, and there's many more the club currently, that are coming through that are playing with the Broncos, that yet to sort of put the mark on the Super League.
And so for you, what is the key element of making sure that we continue to develop those players? Like you say, there's been a good number of them.
Yeah.
What's the crucial part to making sure that continues?
The crucial part is making sure that we keep on with what we're doing and do more, and make sure that we're leading from the front foot in terms of where we are in London, and making sure we have support systems that support London clubs, London coaches, and are supporting the environment that we're trying to create and build, and almost build the 100-year histories that the Northern clubs have, but try and build those infrastructures around the local clubs. And I believe that would give players the opportunity to develop and come through.
And Tony, from a Super League point of view, going forward, is it crucial that for your academy and your development and the continuation of players coming through, that you remain a Super League club?
Crucial, helps it a lot. helps a lot of it Super League. One thing, through the difficult period, the one thing we never debated was our academy. The biggest value we put on was our academy the whole way through. We didn't give it away, we didn't downsize it, didn't downstructure it, didn't underspend it. In fact, the opposite, we made sure that was kept at status quo. So you know that we know that there's a future here. We know that, but the way to kill it would be to make short-term, cheap decisions at the long-term level. So, we actually have upped the ante this year on academy. Well, you could have gone in, if your answer to your question is just go and spend more money on a couple of big players and get right up to salary and just forget about the academy and let's make sure we try and sneak our way out of it. But you'd be gone anyway. You wouldn't have a club. The great thing about the club going forward, the future of London will be the kids. Why do you want London? I do cop the point about London. I do think we are part of the landscape of London sport. I do think we're not forefront like football. We are down there, but people do know that we're here and we have a presence. And then if you vibe that right up, you'll have a great presence. I think TV is another one. The fact that we're on, otherwise, seriously, the game becomes just a floodlit league in the north again without the London and that. So we've got to be really conscious of that as a game. Probably the third big reason around London is the talent pool. Literally the talent pool. For Great Britain to be attacking and competing and getting better, we really need to get the best out of London, which is what we hone in on, and that can be our great strength as a club. If you go out there and watch we have Origin games, North v South London, 14, 16, 15, 16s and all that. They're unbelievable now. The talent there is unbelievable. Joey wouldn't make the team anymore. Okay?
Definitely not. Definitely not. I've recruited a couple from those games actually.
That's right. That's right. So Joey stood out unbelievably in those games, and he would make the team. He would kill it, and he'd still stand out. But he wouldn't stand out like he used to. So what's coming through now is outstanding when they come in. And we're sitting down, writing down most of our time, thinking about how do we want those kids to get through scholarship and academy at the moment. It's a real factor for us. For us to be a great club, that's the sort of stuff we need to focus on and believe in to get there. So should it be in Super League? Oh, it helps a heck of a lot because kids can then aspire to it, see it. They know what it's there. Kids like modern world. It's on television. London Broncos are going to have boots and all on the roundup shows and all that. That's where it becomes important to it. So you need to be always driving towards that Super League presence.
Young man who's got Joe.
Sorry, can I just add to what Tony is saying in terms of the television? When I was playing for Skolars and I found out about London Broncos, all I wanted to do was to play for London Broncos. And I think if you're from Wigan, you want to play for Wigan. If you're from London, you want to play for the London Broncos. So the television and the media and the exposure, all that will play part to having people more interested in what the clubs are doing and finding out more about rugby league. Because as soon as I saw what London Broncos were, I did everything that I could to end up and play Super League, and that was one of the things I think, Tony, you probably won't remember them, but I lived with 4 lads in a house that when I signed for the Broncos, and I used to walk around the house saying that I'm going to play Super League and I'm going to tackle Sean Long and I'm going to tackle Paul Scott, Scully, and they used to tell me, mate, it's not as easy as you think. And he said, there's a lot of kids that have not made it. I said, well, I will, I don't care, but because of what I saw and that's what I wanted to be part of, and I think that's what we need to get back to.
And that's actually grown, that passion. I've seen kids crying after losing academy games in our shirt now, because they have that expectation to beat the Leeds, the Wigans and all that, and if they just fall a bit short, they're hurt, and they hurt as bad when the first team loses, really affects them, and they get it. And that's what's there now. It wasn't there before, it is there now, and that's why we'll win this war eventually.
And you have to be down here to appreciate that. It's very easy up north to just to dismiss London, and it's a long haul, and we don't need them and all that. But when you're actually part of the fabric at whatever level, and you see that, and and I'm connected with a junior club as well, Sussex Merlins, and you realise how much it means to people down here, and it's from up north don't often get that perspective.
And with your connection with community clubs as well, they talk about the influence or the inspirational stuff for Joe who wanted to be in Super League. Are there kids at your club that want to play with London Broncos to play professional Super League, or would it not make too much difference? Is there the structure there now? that if the London Broncos were to, let's say they had gone out of business last year, the Sussex Merlins would have carried on and they'd still have juniors playing and they'd still aspire to just be a Super League player somewhere else?
They would carry on, and I mean a classic story was at a couple of months ago I asked various characters within the game what their outstanding memory of 2013 was. So everybody from the England coach to various players and I asked one of the kids at Sussex Merlins what was the moment for him, and he talked about going to Wembley and watching Sam Burgess score that amazing try against the Kiwis. And all right, we lost that game, and he said that's the moment that he realised that he fell off his seat and he wanted to be Sam Burgess. He wanted to play for England as well, so there's this other brand going on as well as the London thing. And it happened in London that game, and he's a kid. So yeah, they'll have their aspirations, and hopefully he'll start. He'll get to, if he's not playing on a Saturday and Broncos are playing on a Saturday, which is another issue. He'll follow Broncos and he'll want to play for Broncos. Yeah.
Tony, on the current situation, does it annoy you at all that people, talk about relegation and Broncos as if they go hand in hand and that's just going to happen this year?
I think they're entitled to think that. I think that's be naive of us to think that we wouldn't be that, given where we're at. But we don't look at that. We have to see past that. And as I say, we just have to approach it differently. We don't. The important thing is we don't see ourselves as that. We understand, the importance of building on every game, on every session, getting to know each other better on all the things. We need to, we have a different little focus on how we get our best performances out, so we focus on what makes you play good rugby league and do really good things, and if we get those good habits and things in, then the rest looks after itself. So, it can distract boys. I can see, I've listened to conversations around, I think, they've got you a bit there, you're thinking wrong. I've listened to blokes think like that. So it is an influence that I have to continually, and all of us as a staff have to continually work around. Get in front of a scoreboard and being comfortable doing that, and then kicking on and still doing the work right through the end of the whistle, we'll get that out of our bones pretty quickly.
How your recruitment would have been? How would it have been different if you hadn't have had the uncertainty at the back end of last year? I mean, I guess it would be different, but how? Irrelevant. It wasn't. The guys that are there are important to us. I'm glad they're here, and I think they've come for all the right reasons. They're showing all the right attributes, and so the guys that are playing for us at the moment carry the badge and carry the future. The questions that we're answering here is inside of their shirt. They're just borrowing it for the moment. The other people have used it, and hopefully they can use it for a lot longer. So, their actions now determine whether that question's important, and they're the ones that have been given that opportunity. And I'm delighted with their response to it. All of them, not all of them. A couple of them have, let themselves down and they've gone, but I would say one or two, and that hasn't been accepted. Joe, as for London Skolars for this year, it's going to be a big year. The club is still building. You say you don't want to get into a division too high too soon, but this club is a club going places. It's the second most longest semi-professional running in the capital. You've got big ambitions.
No, definitely. I think, to make clear my statement, it's not that we don't want to go up the next level. Certainly we do. I think if you're in a race, you're in it to win it, and you're not in it to come second best or second place. I think second place is you're the first loser. So we're here to compete and we're here to contest. But again, we're not in any delusion in terms of us being up there and taking over the league and challenging and beating everyone. We're here to do what we need to do, and we're here to develop, and we're here to play week in, week out, and build on what we started and see where that takes us. This year, 2014, it's a chance for us just to get a lot of things right and build on that.
And a final question for all of you. We'll start with you, Joe.
Yeah.
What would you like to see happen in London Rugby League? And when, what would you see as a successful, a marker to say things are happening, things are working?
For me personally, a lot more support for coaches and development for coaches and having a support group for London-based support group where coaches maybe can meet and people can meet, because I believe, my personal belief is, the better the coaches are, the better the players will be, because once they come to my level and Tony's level, we shouldn't really be talking to them about catch and pass, though we do, but we shouldn't be coaching them how to retreat on the fifth and last tackle, or how to, little basic stuff that they should know from grassroots and from the junior levels. Some players are talently good and they develop certain skills naturally, but some are not. You have to teach them, you have to technically make sure that you've given them, you provided the environment for them to learn this, what we'd consider basics.
And Nigel, what would you like to see as a statement?
I'd like to see Kieran Dixon's face on a bus when I'm walking down Moorgate later on. I'd say he's probably one of the 3 box office, he's injured at the moment, he's probably the 3 box office players in the whole of Super League. A bloke that when he gets the ball, you put your pint down and it's like, this guy can do anything, he's phenomenal. So I'd like the marketing to be far stronger, so more money put into marketing these great players that we've got down here, so that more people come and see Tony's side and Joe's side. And then one day I'm strolling down Oxford Street, and it would have been you one day, Joe, but it's Kieran maybe now. It's just as a sort of this marquee player that we talk about now, but somebody that's recognisable because of the great skills he's got in the best game that's been played in the capital. Yeah.
Tony, what about you? A big bold statement that the game would make, and what you'd like to see happen?
What I'd like to see is a club competing at trophy level, in front of full houses down here wherever we're playing. There's some really big events. I know that's not going to happen this year, but it's going to be it's a doable. It's a really possible thing. We've got to make sure we do that. The other thing I'd like to see, and it's a little bit along Joe's lines, but probably not the same path. It's just I'd love to see a bit more clarity inside of the Rugby League fraternity of London. I'd like us all on the one page and see us as London, and everyone, be it fans, sponsors, supporters, junior leagues, Broncos, all in sync, and everyone knowing what we're doing, what we're about, and all buying in and being a joined up, all together crusade. That would get us where we need to get.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you to Nigel. Thank you to Joe. And thank you to you for watching another Super League On Report. We'll be back with another one soon.